Yeah, and I brought this up because I wanted to talk about how New York has its own culture, right? And in New York, it's acceptable for Latinos to say the N-word.
Yeah.
But in other places in America, that's a big no-no, especially when you're talking about the South. So you see a lot of people right now having this debate of they feel like black people from New York allowed Latinos to say the N-word, and that's not right, right? That's a lot of the FBA argument that's been going on. And again, the whole online thing, when you're not from that culture, you're not from New York culture, so you don't understand, or you don't know this person and they're saying it, like Fat Joe been saying the N-word all his life, right? But he's not black. But then like if you're from the South and then you turn on and you see him and you're like, well, you're so light in complexion and you saying the N-word, it's just kind of, it rubs me the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? Because of what they've probably had to deal with culturally in the South is different from New York, you know?
For sure. And I understand that. And again, yeah, New Yorkers, we different, man. We just different. We have, again, back to the earlier point, to now segue into this point. Yes, we have come together and been living together and raised together in close quarters. So we assimilate with each other in a different way. And those words don't really have the same symbolism they do in the South up here. It's kind of more like a Ebonics type of way of thinking. When people say those words here, we're down there, it's kind of like, yeah, well, we live this and we still dealing with this. And that's not something that we can nurture. We don't nurture those words. Here, we not only do we nurture it, it became almost like a brotherly way, to speak.
I saw something someone said, like, they were like, everybody in New York says the N-word. They're like, even Indians and all these people say it.
So that could be true, but this is the side of it that we need to get away from that, know, because what happens is we start desensitizing ourselves with that, thinking it's normal and it's okay, but it's not. I had some prolific brothers that I used to be surrounded by. They were like deep in the culture, and they let me get away with it. But I was younger, and I used to record them, and let me shout them out. United Front, this is a very, very influential group, and they let me get away with it for a while, and then they started like just speaking to me like, yo, why are you saying that? This is not how we should, and I'm gonna teach you and tell you why you shouldn't be saying that. And got to a point where I couldn't say the word. It was like I refrained from saying that, and I started just using the word brothers. And it was something I needed at that time to refine myself and understand that I came from a time of ignorance, that word was being used, and we were ignorant on why we were using it. We thought it was cool and it was part of the culture, but it wasn't. It's something that was actually taking us back, and we need to move forward and be able to be. How are you going to be pro-black when you're using something that's anti that, right? And you're using this rhetoric that's anti that was built to be negative, and you're trying to spin it and say, hey, well, it's a cool word now. Like, no.
It removes the hate from the word, removes the power from the word.
No. I'm like, no, bro. That's not, this is how we become powerful. This is how we become, knowledgeable of who we are. And then you need to now learn the new ways of thinking and change. These brothers even changed their names. You know what I'm saying? They took on names to signify their strength and their power in the community from their American names that they were given. And so it was deep. And I started to listen to that and understand what I was doing wasn't helping my community. I was just prolonging something that was built in the community to keep us down. And again, I'm thankful that I had those moments to learn that, because when you're surrounded by people that are doing it on a regular basis, you don't know any better. That's just, nature, human nature. You're doing the wrong things. You don't know it's wrong because everybody's doing it around you. And they don't even know what they're doing. So somebody steps in and they teach you, like, look, this is hurtful. And our people went through a lot of pain with those words. Don't take that lightly. And I started to look at it in a totally different, lens, man. And I was like, yeah, you know what? You're right. You're right. It's time for refinement. So that's when I stopped using that word and started, building. And it makes you a better person in a lot of circles too. Because would you use that word when you're in a circle full of corporate people that are not from the same background as you, or a circle of other people, forget about even business, that are not from the same background as you? No, you wouldn't do that. So why is it cool to do that with your people?
Mm. And a lot of people use the excuse of like, oh, it's a term of endearment, but it's not always used as a term of endearment because when you call someone a bitch ass N word, that's not a term of endearment, right? Or
Man,
like,
that's all technology, man. That's all technology. We started to believe the bullshit that we were taught so that we could trick ourselves in believing it was okay. So somebody at some point said, yo, this is our word because we've been called it for so long. We should take it. Do you see any other culture calling themselves what they've been called to make them to defame their character and their being? I don't see that. I don't see, you know, like when the Jews came here, they put in Ellis Island the K on them so that they could be signified as what they wanted to be called from the American people
right.
here to diminish their culture, right? You don't see them calling themselves that. Do you see the Asian people call themselves the word that they were called in a racist term? No,
Mm.
bro. And if they did, it was only because they saw us doing what we were doing and thought it was okay. So it's still wrong.
Right.
It's still it's crazy, man. We're the only culture that continues the BS. We got to stop. We got to stop at some point. You got to live and learn. Like, yo, how can I make myself better?
Mm-hmm.
Can't continue doing the same bullshit, man. Can't.